It's power rankings time.
It's power rankings time. Give me your top 10 European clubs as we sit here in late July.
Yeah, and I was kind of looking through it, and the way that I kind of went about this is if these sides met in the Champions League, or who right now would I kind of rank as my favorites 1 to 10 of winning the Champions League. So kind of starting from 10 and going up to 1, I've gone for Atlético Madrid as my 10th place team at the moment. I want to see a little bit more from them. I think right now, I just think of them as a team that can make a quarterfinal of a Champions League, but not really do much. Get maybe to third in La Liga, but maybe not do much more than that. So I want to see more. I want to see a step forward from an attacking point of view for them. I don't think their Club World Cup was terribly brilliant either. I've gone for Chelsea at number 9. I'm not certain I would have put Chelsea in the top 10 were it not for the Club World Cup.
That changed your impression of where this team is capable of getting this year.
It did. It did. And I think what we saw over the course of that tournament was a team growing, taking a step forward, players that you kind of thought on one level having a go and really taking that step forward. So 9 is probably as high as I can get to, but I can see them getting deep in a competition. I certainly right now, if they played Atlético in a two-legged series, I would pick Chelsea to win right now.
Before we get to 8, I want to ask you, was this Bayern team higher before Musiala's injury? You mentioned the Club World Cup. Like, did that change at all where they may have been on this list? And they're still trying to do some business, though, too.
Yeah, and they're in for Luis Diaz, among others. And I think the Musiala injury is a big deal, though. Even if they do bring in Luis Diaz, that's not a number 10 replacement. That's, probably Thomas Muller 3 years ago, but they don't have that out-and-out replacement. I think there will be things for them to find. And I just think they played well against PSG in the Club World Cup. They played well against Inter in the Champions League quarterfinal, but I still think there's something about that team that's missing. I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe it is health. Maybe it's Alphonso Davies at full strength. Maybe it is Musiala at full strength, but I'm just not ready yet to say that they're in that very top tier of competitors to go and win this Champions League. I think on their day, maybe they could be. Which
is the challenge for them, because they are judged by the Champions League. They're not even judged by Bundesligas, which is somewhat unfortunate. Yeah. Okay, number 7, you're the Italian champs, or reigning Italian champs.
Yeah, Napoli. I'm kind of curious how they're going to fare in Europe, because Antonio Conte has this history of coaching teams very well in Serie A, but not quite having enough of the Champions League. And what does he always say? I need more players. I need more players. I need more players. Well, he's gotten some more players in the team that won the league last year, but is it enough? Do they have maybe one more big swing in them? They were linked with Darwin Núñez. We look at what they've done already, bringing in Kevin De Bruyne, bringing Lorenzo Luca as another partner for Lukaku up front, Sam Bukaba, another terrific center back. So maybe with 1 or 2 more signings, I climb them up. But because of Conte's European record, I have them 7th right now in the European power rankings.
Okay, let's keep it moving here. 6, the Gunners.
Yeah, Arsenal. And I think probably the team that I ranked harshly, I would say.
As a Gunner, I'm over here. I'm like, I'm ready to go. But go ahead. Give me your explanation.
Yeah, they made a Champions League semifinal last year, but I don't know. I look at that top 5, and right now, I wouldn't say, based off of what we've seen, even from them getting into the semifinal last year, they beat Real Madrid. That came as a surprise, and I would still be surprised if that performance they put in against Real Madrid last year, we would see again this year. So I'm not quite ready to say that they're at that top level based off of the teams above them. I have them ranked 3rd in the Premier League, which is what we talked about yesterday. So I feel like I had to be at least consistent there.
In what world do we have to be consistent? You say one thing on a Monday, and Tuesday can be totally different. And you have the team that they beat in the Champions League ahead of them. I will say this real quick with Arsenal, though, too. Gyökeres's deal not going through yet. Like, their offense has been the issue. They have to find goals. He has to produce at a high level. So I'm not going to argue there.
Question. Even if they do sign him, even if they bring in other players, Chiesa, whomever, they still have to go and do it.
Yeah.
And so I think 6 was fair. Real Madrid is the team that you always fear under ranking, just because they're Real Madrid and they go and beat teams in the Champions League. And Xabi Alonso, I think, is a very good manager. I'm not certain he's the right manager for Real Madrid, but I still think that it's kind of hard to put them any lower than 5, honestly, any lower than 1, and you kind of feel your heart in your mouth a little bit.
There's still so many questions, though. There's a question in balance. There's a question of how many guys can you have in a front line that don't want to defend. Well, that's what Xabi Alonso wants to play. I think it's just going to be a very interesting thing to see early in the season how this rolls out. But I get what you're saying. Somehow, particularly in the Champions League, they have usually always found a way. So I understand your point.
And you would still say, even with the balance issues, everything we talk about, their top-end talent is as good as anybody else's. So I think 5 is probably fair for me in the end. I went for Manchester City number 4. I am a believer in what they've done over the course of the offseason. I am a believer in Pep Guardiola having proven things in the Premier League, and I think a little bit of a shift in focus. There were signs of that Club World Cup. I appreciate that they lost in the end to a Saudi team, but there were signs in that Club World Cup that things were developing and looking like a Guardiola team again. So I do think that the introduction of Tijani Reinders, Ryan Aït-Nouri, Ryan Cherki, all these new players, even you can consider consider Marmouche as a January signing, as ready to go for his kind of first full season at the football club. I think City are going to be right back up there again. Last year feels like a blip. I think they're ready to go again at number 4. Liverpool being the favorites in the Premier League, though, I have them ranked above Manchester City. I do feel a little bit bad ranking them 3rd. Obviously, we know the 2 teams that are left, but I still think that the fact that they got knocked out of the Champions League last season, yes, they added. My goodness, have they added.
But they ran away with the Premier League, and they seem to, and I don't want to say this, but they ran away with the league, and they added a lot of good pieces.
Yes,
and I mean,
yeah.
What?
I still think that the ceiling for me is 3rd. I still think that
ceiling is 3rd.
Ceiling is 3rd right now. Right now, I think based off of what we know about what this team can be, maybe Florian Wirtz comes in and makes them even better. But how do you make a team that already won the Premier League even better? It's about defining big moments, and I think what we saw in the Champions League was they got run over by Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah. For the most part over 2 legs. Can the new signings come in and make them a different team in those moments? Because I still think PSG is right up there, and I still think that they have a lot to prove off the back of that defeat.
The depth, though, of pieces is going to be important, too. And Liverpool has added quality pieces, and if they don't lose so much, if Diaz leaves, that hurts them a little bit, but overall, I think they may still be doing business as well.
Yeah.
You like Barca here at 2?
Yeah, Barcelona number 2, and this for me is kind of almost an aesthetic, stylistic. I just like them. I like watching them.
There's the bias. I like watching them. There you go.
I like watching them more, and they scored 102 goals last season. They were the most electric team. You're projecting Lamine Yamal to take a step forward. They added Marcus Rashford. The one thing that you worry about is the financial situation because all the teams around them are spending big money on bringing in more players. Barcelona simply don't have that. So you're relying on internal improvement, but in my opinion, what Pedri and Yamal showed last season was at the level of some of the very best in Europe, the level of attacking talent that they have, the quality of the goal-scoring chances that they created. I thought they let a real opportunity slip by not getting to the Champions League final. I thought they were better than Inter, and they just made the wrong mistakes at the wrong times. And PSG, for me, is the unassailable number 1. Yes, they lost the World Cup final to Chelsea. I understand that, but that, for me, is a blip. It's a one-off. You go into a game next season, who do you think is going to win? You pick PSG above everybody else right now. That their best performance is a level above. Even at this incredible top table, these are all brilliant teams. But PSG are that level above even the other brilliant teams based off what we saw last season.
That's where I take issue with. The past is not necessarily prologue here. Because they were a step above. I mentioned Liverpool. They were a step above in some critical moments in the biggest of stages outside of the Club World Cup final against Chelsea a couple weeks ago. That said, next year is next year. That's when you look forward here. I do think there's like a minimal space between a lot of these teams and the top top 6. I would honestly say the top 6 right there are packed. And when you look at the betting lines to win the Champions League, those are your top 6 right there. And I'm not surprised by that either.
Yeah, and PSG, I still think that they are that level above. And I understand that past is not prologue, but I don't see any signs of them slowing down other than one bad game that they have in a one-off final. So I think the performance they put in against Inter throughout the Champions League, against all these vaunted Premier League clubs that we're talking about, en route to the final, I just think that they go into next season as number 1.
Sometimes playing League One does help them, though. Because
they play fewer league games and they play less consequential league games. And so I think the fact that they get to rest players in this incredibly busy Club World Cup, actual World Cup kind of sandwich that we're in right now, I think that they're ready to go again.